Okay, hello. My name is Tom from, and indeed pretty much constituting Porcupine Publishing, creator and translator of role-playing games. And this is a kind of a little read-through or look at the Curse of Ipauna, a module on Roll20, available in the marketplace now that it got approved, which is the digital version of an adventure I translated from Portuguese to English a little while ago. So you can now buy it as a physical book, a PDF, and excitingly, this thing on Roll20. It's the first one I've done, so it was a little bit tough going at first, but I reasonably quickly got the hang of it. So I thought it would be nice to show off what we ended up with by doing a little live stream. I'll be absolutely shocked if anyone actually watches this live, but I thought I'd just do it live anyway to preserve the spontaneity of the situation. I don't know, whatever. All right, so let's take a look. Now, the deal is that when you purchase or otherwise acquire a module like this on Roll20, it basically will appear on the right-hand side in your handouts, your journal. That's what it's called, basically in the form of handouts. And so I've organized it into a bunch of different screens that you can look at and show to the players as you go along in the adventure. By the way, there are going to be some, I guess, mild spoilers about content of the adventure in this. So, if you're classic, if you want to preserve the surprise, then stop now. But so we begin here just looking at the front cover, which is rather good, by the way. And this will be your kind of launch page. It could be a holding page for the players when they get in. Got to look at the toolbar. You can see the players there with a little ribbon. So just to let you know about the adventure, it's written by Luciano Paolo Gil, and it is, I think, in the book it's about 30 pages long. So it works in about, I would say, 2 to 3 sessions is best. You can squeeze it into one if you chop out the sea-born encounter, and if you kind of accelerate through some of the scenes. But I think 2 sessions is good for it. So over here, I've tried to arrange everything in the order you'll need it. So we start with the introduction. So all the text is given in these handouts. Some of these are visible to the players when you show it to them. So this bit at the top, but then GM notes is only ever visible to the GM. So this is the intro bit telling you about what's going on. Not as fancy layout here, of course, as in the book, because you can't do columns, but the advantages of the digital format hopefully outweigh that. So part 1 is Rio to Kurumarei. So at this point, you can move your players to the screen, which is the map of Rio. Slightly over there. It should load a bit better for you, because I've been in here and messing around with it, but it should load in the default position for you when you have it. And you can read through. I split section 3 into a 3.5 because there's some NPCs here on the ship that you might not use, and it was getting a bit long. Let's see, so investigating the city, I would use this map just to show people things they can look at, like let's zoom in, Jesuit College, Municipal Hall, the Fortress. This is a map of Rio de Janeiro, by the way. And I've tried to balance zoomability with loading time. I think I've got it about right, but I could be wrong. Let's see what else we have. Following the trail. So the plot is basically this kid, the son of the godson of a local aristocrat who lives up here on the top of the mountain, has gone missing, and your guys are sent to go off after him. And what he's doing is he's seeking some lost treasure that was left behind in a fort built by the French when they were trying to take over Brazil. So investigating around the city, but then after you've set out to sea, oh no, there's an encounter with some creatures at sea, and that's when we flip to, and this is what I'm quite pleased with in this. There are some kind of these side-on battle mats, right? Like in JRPGs. So you can see that here they're marked with the. These are the status things you would have for in a game of Elephant Macaw Banner. Whether you're free, in combat, or escaping, those are the 3 states you can be in. And if you want to just show the picture, go to the map layer, select this image, and simply do to front, and that will hide all the markings. But yeah, so just go and grab a token. All the creature tokens are stored over here in token storage, and you simply pick the one you need. In this case, you need a seaweed man or 2. Probably we'll come back to the actual thing. These tokens and look at them a bit later, and return here, and you can basically control V it, and it'll appear here, and they're pretty scalable. Hey, hello, seaweed man. Yeah, so if you've used Roll20 before, you will know that you can flip between screens without moving the players, and you can copy and paste between them. So that's why token storage is there with the different the player character tokens, which are already set to have their character sheets linked to them. And again, we'll come back to that later on. So yeah, to talk about this backdrop. So this was specially done by an artist that. So they don't. These are not in the book version, of course, because you don't really. Yeah, that's not a thing you really need. But Chris Cashton-Smith, the creator of the Elephant Macaw Banner, suggested doing something like this. And to level with you, I wasn't sure it was really a good idea. Or like, I thought it was a good idea, but I didn't think it would be that great, you know. But to my immense surprise, it's actually really cool, and it really improves the kind of play online. It's pretty great. So yeah, we got these done by an artist called Everton Zomer, who is from Brazil, as you might expect, and he's done a nice a deck here of the ship that you're traveling on, bit of captaincy, royal captaincy of Rio de Janeiro coastline in the background. Early sketch did have Sugarloaf Mountain and so on from Rio de Janeiro itself, but unfortunately by this point in the story, you're too far along. And you also see that it's a little bit too wide in this axis. That's something we did on purpose with all of these scenes, though, as we sort of, much as JRPG battle backgrounds do, we kind of extended the foreground just to make it easier to fit the figures onto the scene. A bit of artistic license, you could call it. So yeah, there's a bit of business with some sea creatures. There's actually another one, which if you're reading on the side, you'll deduce as a mermaid. Didn't include the token for her, actually, because you don't really need, she doesn't exactly appear on the battlefield in this encounter, but you know, you could add it from, I think she's in the creatures pack anyway. Anyway, then you get to this village called Kurumarei, and you've got a little region map for that. And not to put too fine a point on it, you've got to, there we go, over to load. You've got to get to Kurumarei, find your way to Apiku. So Kurumarei is a sort of mixed indigenous and caboclo kind of people who are of mixed heritage, native and European or native and African. And they live down here. And there's a Tupi village, or Tupiniquim village here, Apiku, further in, and you've got to make your way through the marshes to Ipauna Island, which is where the French fort is. That is where the kids have gone to. Part 2, this is where we encounter, you start to get hunted by one of the most fearsome monsters of the Elephant Macaw Banner, and if you're not careful, might have to fight it in the jungle. Let me just move that up again so you can see it without the status markers. And yeah, so this was sort of an interesting point, and something it's a good thing we got a Brazilian artist in, because I never would have thought of it, which is that in the jungle, if you're fighting in a clearing, you don't really get... Well, let me start from the question, which is why is there water on the ground here? And Everton had just commented that it makes sense. It would have to be a flooded area for there to be a clearing. Otherwise, it's just dense vegetation. And so that's what we got. So it's pretty cool. A little swampy, muddy clearing in the jungle. Absolutely terrifying Magua. And actually, let me grab a player character token just to compare. Should we have? Let's have Wira, maybe. Yeah. Where's the thing? There it is. So let's. How do I scale this? It's about twice the size of a person, so she'd be about that big, I guess. Can't remember offhand. Anywho, so yeah, that's that little battle scene as well. Avoidable, just. And then the next. But the next actual location you get to is the Dark Island. So a bit of a note here. This red text is in the GM layer, but the grey box is in the map layer. Because if you want the players to, I thought it would be better to hide the key of the map before, just initially. Now, if you, moving the wrong thing. If you want to move the box, you can just bring this to the front. It shows everything that's there. They can't see the red text. And to be honest, I just show the players the key right away, just because, it'll only take a couple of minutes for them to figure out what they're looking at. But you might want more mystery than that, in which case I've left this little rectangle here. So these are the buildings inside the old collapsed French stockade. And I've done write-ups by area, so each one they're going to. If you go to Captain LaSalle's cabin, that's what you find inside. And there's a couple of possible fights here. One is in the prison. There is... Where's the prison fight? There you go, it's the prison. So again, you see a bit of artistic license here. The building it's in is actually kind of smaller than this, but you kind of make it a bit bigger for convenience. And then, pretty cool. We got a collapsed body of a person inside the cell. Is it worth investigating? Dun dun dun. And there is also kind of the final battle location, which is the chapel. And I think I found this particularly atmospheric. I think it's very nice work there by Everton. And again, a little bit of instructions in the GM notes. And so you can see it's all quite... The downside of this format is it's all kind of plain text in the texty bits. But you got a bunch of images to play with. So I think overall it sort of, it works out. Okay, let's look at the tokens, zoom in a bit. So we've got, let's say, Matondo Sombo. Let's look at him. So he is connected to character here. His name, he's got the nameplate on. And if you go to characters, you'll find each of them down here. So if we click on Matondo, here he is, his little portrait. And you have to go to the character sheet, and he's got all his stuff done here. So I've already forgotten who made this. This character sheet is inside Roll20, available in English and Portuguese. And it auto calculates all your bits and bobs, how many learning points you've got to spend, and it will do kind of custom rolls for you as well. Let me just go to the roller. Wait, I've done that the wrong way around. I need to keep the character sheet open, don't I? Here we go, Matondo. And if I click on that, let's say I want him to make a canoeing roll. He's not tremendously good at that, but let's try it. Click on the little thing there. Choose your difficulty. And it should. Oh, modifier, no modifiers. There you go. So I rolled 3d6 plus 3. He got an 11. That is a failure. Okay. Bad luck, Matondo Musombo. So yeah, each of these characters has a little write-up to explain why they're on the adventure and where they're from. And then we have just 3 monster types in this scenario to use in the token. Other tokens are available. And but yeah, that's pretty much it. Sorry, that's my image collection. Don't need that. Oh yeah, and the handouts. So this is fairly simple as well. Most of the things you need to show players are the maps. So there is some notes on the Fortress of Ipauna. That's a little small now, but you can zoom it in properly. Pretty readable. There is also the diary of the French expedition. These are 2 things you can find to get clues about the French expedition and where the kids have gone in the jungle. And Handout 1 is a letter of introduction, which I actually just left in Portuguese because it's, it's immersive. Is it? Something like that. So yeah, I just left this in Portuguese. You don't need to know exactly what it says. You just need to know that it's there we go. That it's a letter of introduction from Don Venancio G. Alcantara, who is the Capitão Mor. How do you translate that? Captain General, I suppose you might say. So it's like a little passport that your characters can show to people to get help from the Portuguese. And yeah, that's pretty much it, I think. So yeah, 3 maps, 4 battle pack drops, bunch of tokens, and the adventure all in this thing down the side. So yeah, I've run this a bunch of times actually, and maybe 3 times, and yeah, I think it's really good. It's very effective. I remember the first time when I started to look at it, before I opened it, I knew that Luciano had, I think he'd won a contest. It was like there was a contest for fan-written Elephant Macaw Banner adventures, and the winner would get published. And I was a little bit tentative, thinking, "Oh, how good is it going to be?" But it's actually a very good horror action horror. That's the word I'm after. Action horror adventure with some. It's like a pretty straightforward plot in terms of the journey that you have to take to get to the fortress, but you get to make some good meaningful decisions along the way, and you get to explore some of the culture of Brazil during the period, and yeah, overall, very solid adventure. So yeah, that's available in the Roll20 marketplace now. Other VTTs are available, and I'm thinking about how to make this available on, for example, Astral as well. But I haven't, to be honest, worked out how to do it yet. So, stay tuned. All right, thanks for watching, and yeah, boas aventuras.